Now, Simon, what does the next 12 months have in store for Spartan Resources?
Lots of drilling, lots of news flow, lots of rigs. Ooh. Hello? Now? Sorry, I've got to go.
We'll get that answer very shortly. Simon?
I probably should stick to being the MD of a resources company rather than an actor. Let's just see if we can get this up here. Right. Is that feeding through? Thank you. All right. Welcome to Melbourne. Well, most of you live here. Obviously you're used to the weather, I'm not. It took me about 20 minutes to get a taxi, so I actually was legitimately late and gave Nick Reed and the crew a bit of a scare. So here to talk about the story. Obviously that there is a really important image for me. I generally roll it out at every presentation I've got at the moment because it really does encapsulate what we're doing. It is drilling in front of an existing gold mine that wasn't previously profitable due to various reasons, and I can go through those, but let's just stick with the positives at this point in time. We've made a massive discovery just in front of that open pit and literally 600 metres from the processing plant. You can see in the top left-hand corner there. So pretty much a unicorn situation. I was faced with a fairly challenging situation when I got into the company. November 2021, we had a struggling gold mine. We weren't producing much profit. It was fairly marginal, but I wasn't prepared to sort of ride through an extended period of risk there for investors. Particularly, the company had been in administration once before. I joined through an acquisition of my little company called Firefly. I take a fairly pragmatic view on operations. I work with some of the best in the industry, some of the people presenting at this conference today, and a lot of what I took away from that, I mean, I'm just a geo, right? So I took a business sense away from working with Bill Beeman and with Darren Stralo and the crew at Northern Star. The way we approach things was very pragmatic. If it doesn't work, stop doing it and do something else. And what we did here was make a really good discovery, engage with the staff who had the knowledge, who had the ability to change the future of this company. We stopped the operation to stop the bleeding, to reduce the risk to investors. Yes, we went through a recap. We did that $50 million at 10 cents in February this year. And since then, we've just kept delivering some of the most amazing drill holes and the biggest increases in resource, high-grade resources that people have seen. So I've done this for almost 20 years now. I've never found an ore body like this. I've worked on some. They are mines that had been around for 10 to 20 years. This is a significant deposit that we've found here, but I think there's a lot more upside within the region as well. Disclaimer. Board and team. Obviously, it's important to have a good team. We have a great team. I think we've got a fairly well-structured, number of bits of paper. Our share price is obviously much higher than it was when we recapped at 10 cents in February. We've done pretty well to get to this point. That's the market cap at this point at 40 cents. I know we're 39 when we closed yesterday, and there is some sort of fluctuation happening, volatility to Grady's point. Net cash, 28.2 at the end of last quarter, and we're attracting some serious attention, which is really, really good. We are situated in the Murchison region. People like to talk about Leonora being the consolidation district in WA at the moment. I think Murchison's got a really good chance of increasing activity in the consolidation space, but at the same time, these are all high-grade assets run by some big companies. We're starting to grow our high-grade asset in the middle of that region. We'd like to be a player as well, and I'm certainly aiming to that as my number one goal. We've got Westgold to the north, Silver Lake to the south, Ramelius to the east. We really are in quite good company there. 1.18 million ounces at 2.2 grams a tonne. That is materially different to what I walked into. There was a 1 gram resource in front of that plant. Luckily, someone built that plant for me, so now I have the benefit of that plant. We have those ounces, and we have more than double the grade that was there when that plant was built. We're on track to grow the Never Never resource, which is at the moment 720,000 ounces at 5.85, and it was 0 ounces just over 12 months ago. Just to give a bit of, I suppose, context of where we are in the world. Hopefully I don't screw this up too bad, but this is the tenure around the main mine. This is our exploration leases with the mining leases in the middle. I'll just draw a couple of things here, hopefully. Let me just pick that up. It's not going to work. Let's just do it with a finger. All right, so this here, main mining lease. So we've got lots of footprint. We're not bordering on anybody else's ground. There's no sort of, consolidation ground-wise that we need to do to keep this project growing. We own all the ground here. It's all permitted. It's on granted mining leases. We have our processing plant. We are funded, but as I said, we are attracting a lot of attention. There's a lot of instos, particularly out of the US, and you would have seen a fairly big, a substantial holding taken by 1832, which is a fairly big precious metals fund from North America. Took a lot of interest in us after Beaver Creek, and I was, that to me is, you're starting to get onto the radar of some of those guys, you're doing the right things. And we're focused. I'm a geologist. I've got a massive team of geologists right now working away, 6 rigs, pumping out some drill core, and we'll be keeping that news flow going towards the end of this year. Mineral resources, as I said, a key takeaway here, and I get asked it a lot, we've answered the high-grade question. We've answered, can you define your own future? Can you stay alive? Can you survive? Are you funded? There's lots of different questions we've answered over the last 12 months. The answer to the latest question is, can you fill the mill for a substantial period of time? And when you look at 16.7 million tonnes and you take a 2.5 million tonne plant, you just do the rough sums. There's about 6.5 years of mine life with that current resource. Now, I'm not saying that we can deliver that on paper at this point in time, but we certainly are aiming to put a feasibility study out to actually cement what that resource can deliver. Put a reserve around this, a maiden reserve, maiden high-grade reserve. I'm going to be super proud to do that. We've got guys working on that at the moment as well. That's the operation. Pretty straightforward. Plant in the bottom left-hand corner there. Never Never is literally right in front of it, almost too close. That was actually my first concern when it started to grow with its footprint, is will that open pit impinge on either the waste dump or the outline of the processing system? That neither one is a problem. So we've got an optimised pit shell there. There's 90,000 ounces at 2.2, just over 2.2 grams a tonne, mineralised from surface. We ran some of that material for 7 days before we shut it down. We know it's good. It's an amazing opportunity. Just to give you a little bit more context here, just an aerial view. Looking north there, the Gilby's main pit and the Never Never discovery is at the northern end of that pit, but there is a huge system here that we've really only just made a discovery at one end of. There is a reason that there is gold in this region, and it's not just low-grade gold, as we've managed to prove. It is structurally imposed onto the stratigraphy here, and what they were mining previously was the stratigraphy, the rock package. But the rock package had that gold introduced by structures. We're now onto these structures, and what we're seeing is pretty exciting. With excitement, particularly with geologists, comes drill rigs. 6 rigs at the moment. You can see 4 of them in the image there with the processing plant on the left-hand side. I know I'm sort of pointing it out ad nauseum, but it really is quite incredible. You can be drilling an amazing discovery that close to pre-built infrastructure. Very low capex to restart. That plant is very well suited. We've put out metallurgical test work that proves we can put it through that plant. Regular CIL processing will work. What I want to do is make it better. I think we can get more improvement on recoveries, and so we're looking at studies in that plant at the moment to improve the recovery profile. Ounces per vertical metre. This is obviously very important for underground mining because you can do some rough sums and work out, is this going to be economic? It's pretty obvious from my point of view, but again, I say it, we'll put out a feasibility study and prove it. The surface environment is oxidised. You can see it's all, the gold is blown around there. That's where that 2.2 gram a tonne open pit is situated. Underneath that, it really gets crazy. 630,000 ounces at almost 8 grams a tonne. Extensive. It seems to be getting wider at depth. Every MD says that. They also say it gets better at depth, but I'm telling you, it does. We put out some drill holes that are actually into the blank space at the bottom of that graph, the bottom of that image, into the white area, so we know that there's gold there. top 10 drill hits. I probably need to update this, to be honest, because there's a few more that have just come out. We cut all our drill holes, so we use a statistical top cut to reduce the influence and therefore the expectation that comes from incredibly higher grade drill holes, with the exception of a couple of days ago when I put out a 1,000 gram intercept. That was received with mixed feelings. I tend to be very conservative about the way I approach releasing drill results because it leads to a very solid expectation of what we can deliver here. What we're doing is reserving the upside for when production occurs. All that coarse gold, visible gold, all those very high grades, all the anomalous outlier statistically grades that we can see there, that will all come out through the gravity circuit and be an incredible upside. Some of those drill hits there, I've worked in this almost 2 decades, and when I started seeing some of those drill hits, it was pretty exciting. We had initially found an extension to the main deposit, which in itself wasn't super exciting. We spoke to the geos on site. I walked in there and I said, look, I'm just a man alone, came from Firefly. I was the only employee of that company. I walked in there and I said, I don't know anything about this geology. Let's work together. I'll support your ideas. What do you want to do? And there were 4 fingers pointing straight out the window to follow up a drill hole that was literally within sight of the admin office. 8 metres at 3.9 grams a tonne from 25 metres beneath the surface. And it was 140 metres a long strike from a 1 million ounce low grade deposit. So, sure, what's the risk, right? And that's what I said to the guys, let's just get something out there to test this. We had a blast hole rig in the pit. We pulled it out of the pit, pulled it off the blast holes. Engineers went mental because they're like, we need to pull that shot. And I'm like, sure, but it's not making any money, so what's the harm? Sounds arrogant, but literally I wanted to know. I wanted to know what that drill hole had in it, whether it was real, because I had a lot of people telling me it was just transported and it would turn out to be nothing. We drilled that. We found that extension to that ore system. We drilled 31 metres at 2.5 grams from 7 metres down. At that time, that's incredible. You're mining a less than 1 gram pit and you hit an extension to your main ore body and it's got that thickness from near surface, it's game on. But it got better. We hit 54 metres at 6.5, 300 metres long strike, and that changed the world. I got a phone call, are you sitting down? We went straight in and drilled that at 3 different angles because I was absolutely convinced we'd just drilled down something, and I wanted to make sure that when I come and stand in front of people like yourselves, that I can back up what we're doing here. This is not just a pump. This is not just drilling high-grade drill holes and then putting it out there with no context. This is now over 450 drill holes that categorically prove this is a seriously good ore body. Drill rig, just to give some context, we really are typically just in Western Australia, in the Murchison region. It's flat, access is not a problem. We get in there, we dig the sumps, we drill the holes. Pretty straightforward. That's a great view when you see that gold coming out in the core and it comes out of the tube and it goes out onto the run there, and we were pretty happy to have Grady and Nick and Sharon come up the other day and actually stand there and watch some of that happen. That was a really cool experience to be able to give that to someone else to see. There was some pretty good stuff in that core, so I was pretty keen to shift them along until we got the assays back. Here's a long section coming straight at you, high grade. We've shown this a number of times. It is difficult to sort of imagine. I'll move through another slide that hopefully will give a little bit more context and rotate it in 3D. This was pretty crazy. I got really, really excited about this because we had 5 drill holes, all had visible gold in them. Some of them, the chunkiest gold I've ever seen in this place. As we get deeper, it seems to get better. There's some curly things happening at the moment. I put a flexure zone in there, which is just a little bit of information to sort of forewarn investors that we have something that we don't really understand just yet, but have no fear, underneath it there's more visible gold and it keeps going. So I think there's something happening here. It's shifting laterally to the south towards the Gilbey system. There's been a few people come up to me and say, what if they join together? I want to know too. So we're going to be drilling some holes that lead us to that point. Probably early next year, because right now what we're working on is delivering a resource update for Never Never and for Gilbeys to really re-establish the Dalgarang operation as having a very solid future in front of it. We'll be working on reserves that we'll be delivering in early next year, a feasibility study straight after that, and then we'll have a financial investment decision about whether we restart that plant, because the plant is in amazing condition. We're keeping it in amazing condition. We're spending a bit of money to do that, but what that does is it gives us that optionality. So this is Never Never just in cross-section, just if I rotate it around. You can see this is actually a bit of a dated database. These two holes down the bottom here, if I can get my little pencil to work, these two holes down here kind of scared us, right? You look at them and you think, where's the gold? What's happened? We've made this massive discovery and it's gone. But that wasn't the case. Sorry, I'm drawing all over the bloody screen here. Here we go. So you can see we were drilling straight down plunge here. Everything looked fine. Straight off the end there, we drilled these two dusters and I was a bit concerned. But then we drilled to the south, and now what we're interpreting as the flexure zone has actually shifted the entire ore body to the south, just laterally. I've been waiting the whole time we've been drilling this thing for something unusual to happen, and now it's happened. But these things happen. We've got the ore body tagged on the other side, and we're just going to keep drilling. This is the resource model as it was previously. There's obviously a lot more holes in this now, and we've proven pretty categorically that there's actually a lot of high grade in areas that we'd classified as low grade before. So we're really excited about what we're going to see in our new update. I think for the first time I've gone over time here. Just to quickly round out, that's the resource, that's the site. There's the Gilbey's open pit, Never Never at the north end there. All incredibly compact, all on granted mining leases, ready to go. Upside, just quickly. Never Never's not alone, it has cousins. There are high-grade structures that are defining more high-grade in this region. We are drilling those right now. We will reimagine that Gilbey's pit with its high-grade shoots, which are the 4 pillars and west wind shoots. There's actually more than that, as we released in this market update the other day. There's grades outside of those two targets that are also really good. So we'll be following all of that up. And I suppose just the key before I wrap up is that we're focused on that mill. We're drilling everything from that mill outwards. We're not taking unnecessary risk. We're putting as much money into that in drill bit as we possibly can, and we are creating value from what we're doing. Thanks very much.